Out in class, if you see the black spots here, the black spots are little cups, and these are conspicuously fungi. They're cup fungi, and if you remember, those are the ones that blast off spores at high speed. So they could probably hit my hand from this distance so that they can fly their spores, they can catch the wind, and they can be spread far and wide. Strangely, there are fungi that grow on surfaces, and the reason that they grow on surfaces is that they have inside them symbiotic algae, where the symbiotic algae give the fungal colonies a faded out green look, and these fungi can benefit from the presence of the algae. They can get sugar from the algae, and also the algae can get benefit from the fungi. Fungi give a protected environment to the symbiotic algae, but also fungi are expert poisoners, and they protect the algae from other microbes in chemical warfare. When we go to the bar room on Saturday night, we use our fingernails and knuckle dusters and flick knives to defend ourselves in that terrible environment. These guys have almost no organs, so instead of that, all they've got is chemical warfare. So if they're competing with the other microbes successfully, they must be using poisonous chemicals. They must be using poisonous chemicals that are poisonous to other microbes. This is the important thing. But not to them, so they must be selective antibiotic chemicals. So whatever they're doing, it's of interest to us. Maybe we can find out what they're doing, copy it, stamp those antibiotics into pills, and use them in therapy. The ones that are circular, on this palm tree, they are common, but they're not the only kind of lichen. There's a second kind of lichen that isn't flat and circular, but instead of that, it's upright and it's spiky. And the only ones that I can see are on the far side of this tree. So we're going to carry out a maneuver now, where there'll be one-way traffic.
One-way traffic.
And I'm going to point spiky kind. They're spiky and they're brittle. And that's the second kind of lichen. These spiky ones, they also have very often the cups of cup fungi. So they're definitely fungi. They're also a bit green. You can tell that they're fungus plus algae. Going a one-way. Has everybody seen the spiky one? Those are the two kinds of lichen. They're roughly speaking circular, faded green, and you can see the ones with black spots. The black spots, if you look at them with a dissecting microscope, they're conspicuously little cups. Little cups. Sort of big enough for you to perceive them as cup shapes. The spiky ones, they're usually green. The circular ones, they're often black. It's lighter, and here's one that's darker. Different shades of green can give you an idea that you've got one lichen and a second one. Also, their edges have a lichen, and not four of the things which aren't lichens.
Not yet.
And we're going to go on a walk and we'll point out things that are and things that aren't lichens. Here's one of the things that isn't a lichen. This thing here, that is an insect that has made a suit of armor for itself using twigs. Sometimes the insect, this is a bagworm, sometimes it makes a suit of armor for itself out of lichens. So it looks really like a lichen, except it's not. It's a whole lot of lichens chewed up.
Yeah.
With an insect inside. And also, another thing that isn't a lichen is this thing here. Oh, and this thing here, and this thing here. These are not lichens. These are small flowering plants. These are ball mosses. I'm going to prove to you that this is a flowering plant. On the next tree we get to, I'll show you the big form of this fellow here that has a flower stalk and it's producing seeds.
That are sticking out.
Where?
I think it's like these little things that are sticking out.
Like this?
Yeah. No. That's, I think the plant, this one. See how that little tiny thing has lots of it right here? Maybe not. No. We weren't watching him. Maybe up there.
We shouldn't
those
have
things.
followed the line.
No. We should have been like, I don't care. Well, I'm sure he'll show us more.
I can see the spikes from my videos.
Really?
Like here, look. Looks like
whoa!
spiky, right?
Will you send that to me?
Sure. We're missing a lot of things there. Yeah, we'll send it to you later.
These ones are really firmly attached so that if I try and get lichen, I can't get my fingernail under it to get lichen only, and I end up getting lichen and a bit of bark. You need to separate your lichen from the bark because the bark also produces antibiotic substances, except dull and boring antibiotic substances like tannins. You know about tannins. Everybody knows about tannins. We want to find out about the strange and unusual things that come from lichens. About half of the area of my smallest fingernail. You don't need much. Instead of a lot of one lichen, you need a little bit of 4 for yourself and multiples of 4 to get the extra credit. We're going to go for a walk.
Meaning more than 4, so 8, like a multiple of 4. 2 sets of 4.
This tree here got a broad covering of lichen, but all very firmly attached.
Looks like Bill Trip.
Oh my gosh.
Well, we're gonna miss a lot. Maybe we can get together.
Well,
We're coming back.
Sometimes fallen twigs are a good thing to look at as well, because there are lichens growing right at the top of these trees in brilliant sunlight, and sometimes they grow big, and when the twigs fall off...
Is this one?
Yes, that's a very good example of one of the spiky...
Yeah, it's mine.
One of the spiky ones, yours, and you can see it's spiky, but when you take a close look at it, you'll see that there are some flat patches too. Those are the cups of a cup fungus. And the other one, I think we could call that one kind of lichen with cups, and this a different kind of lichen without cups. So you've got 2. It's also covered with some, it's also covered with a layer of firmly attached lichen. That's no good. The spiky good. The spiky one's excellent. These ones no good. Oh, and you can see the cups very well. You could take a real close look. Little cups.
Oh, shoot. Oh, fuck. Step on the ants.
Sometimes there are big patches of lichen covering large amounts of a tree, and I imagine that the tree gets some protection also from the antibiotics made by the lichens, and they're protected against microbial attack. This palm tree especially, it's got a lot of lichen all over the place, firmly attached, unfortunately for us. Oh, except, yeah, maybe there are some down here. Yeah, there are some down here that can be separated. Separating from the tree material. That's very important. Oh, okay. I've shown you some bagworms. The bagworms are not lichens. Is that looks like another bagworm. There's another bag. You can tell it's a moss, not a lichen. And I don't know whether they produce any antibiotics, but they're not going to be detected using the method that we use. We'll stick to lichens and ignore the brilliant green mosses. There's palm trees, there's oak trees, and there's conifers that produce different species of lichen.
Where are we supposed to keep these lichens?
You can keep them somewhere dry, like a paper bag or a plastic bag that's left open. They're quite good for weeks and weeks. I had one, it was a very nice one. I stuck it to my office wall, and it took a year for it to degenerate from being green to losing its algae and being obviously bad. It took a year, so that's great.
Professor, what are these?
Like the
things
white
here.
one?
The
What are
white,
those red things?
this is resin from the pine tree, where the pine tree has ducts within it, little pipes filled with this poisonous material, and when a naughty insect bites the tree, it'll bite its way through those pipes, and there's a flow of a lot of defense compound towards that insect, and they get covered by the sticky stuff, and the sticky stuff contains poison. You can tell it contains poison. Ugh. Because it tastes
Bitter?
It tastes like the poison. Very bitter and very horrible.
So these are the lichens right here.
If you're lost in the jungle, you can get
Don't
an
eat
idea
the sap.
of what's good to eat and what's bad to eat, because the trees give you a very good idea of when they want you to eat part of them. They'll make their fruit very fragrant and sweet. If they don't want you to eat them, they'll, in a very friendly way, make whatever it is very bitter. Like
So
the
is
bark-
this lichen,
the bark,
Professor?
the bark is very bitter too.
Oh my
Professor.
goodness.
Yeah, very bitter.
Professor, is this lichen right there?
Yes, the washed out green is lichen. That one there, it's got a lot of folds going upwards, and you could grab lichen only there. And yep, that's more washed out. That's one of the powdery lichens. They make their body into little, almost spheres that's
The white
crumbly,
one?
and it can
Yeah,
blow
It's
around.
washed out green.
All of these features, they correspond to
this
different
one.
species of lichen. So we found two different kinds.
Which
very
one were
easily.
the dusty ones?
The ones, I'll point out some more, but here, have a look at them
Yeah.
when you can. They're conspicuously powdery,
Oh, the green.
and they can be blown around for reproduction of the lichen.
Beautiful.
Around the trees and see.
From the same tree?
If you look at the assignment,
Okay.
yeah, it can be from the same tree. If you look at the assignment, I want you to record where it came from. For example, Florida Southwestern State College, pine tree. And also record the environment, which is, if it was this tree, it would be in bright direct sunlight, rather than at the bottom of the tree in a lot of shade. Look at the assignment, that'll show you the information to record. Okay. Keep on looking around. We're heading in a particular direction for a particular place, but on the way, we'll look at the tree trunks and see if there's anything good in terms of lichen. That tree, see them through. There it is. Yeah, this one looks like it's very firmly attached, but there are some other ones. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, look for ones that you can separate from the bark, and you'll be onto a good thing with that. We're finding mostly in these gardens the flat ones, the spiky ones. They're abundant
This
on
one
the
has it
pine trees.
hidden right there.
Yes, that's a nice one.
There's some insect.
No. Like, let's say they put the lichens on here. You have to separate the lichen, the layer of it, from the tree.
Obviously, there's a patch of grass green at the base of that tree, and it's surrounded by washed out green. So even at a distance, you can see moss, and you can see big patches of lichen. Let's go and take a look at that. This is also powdery in the center, smooth on the exterior. Interestingly, so I'm going to call that a different kind of lichen. It may be that you could separate things like that from the bark, but separation from bark, that's a critical thing. You'll find lichens where it's easy to do that. So don't make things difficult for yourself by picking a firmly attached lichen. Go for the ones that are easy to separate. Dark green here for a moss, wash dark green here for a lichen. And this is my favourite tree on campus, not for anything to do with microbiology, but to do with this plant here, which is Psilotum, and it's a primitive plant that doesn't have flowers or fruit. It doesn't have a root system either. All it has is foliage and the little yellow things here, which are sporangia. It has microscopic reproductive parts, and this is the kind of things that dinosaurs would have munched on millions and millions of years ago.
Wow.
This is a very big Psilotum here. I like that.
Have you tasted?
I've never tasted Psilotum.
Get sick.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, he really ate it. What's it taste like?
Bitter? Want to try it? Try it.
Surprisingly good.
Oh my goodness.
This plant here, it established itself before plants became expert poisoners. It's the flowering plants that are really good at sending a signal to animals with poison. Bitter for don't eat this, or sweet for do eat this, so that they can control animals and stop the animals eating the important parts of the plant, but
Eat it.
encourage the animals to eat the fruit.
I would
and
not eat
throw the-
lichen.
throw the seeds away and distribute the seeds. This comes from a time before that, and this poor little fellow isn't even defending
If
itself
you're sick, you
against
just
me.
eat lichen. You'll get
And I could
better.
even taste a little bit of sweetness here, so I can understand what the dinosaurs were going for. Thank you for suggesting that to me. If there are any questions,
Very
you
good.
can ask them now or by email or next class. Otherwise, we'll separate into the people who want to head for home or head for lunch. There are other people who want to correct a mistake that I made when I recorded your exam results. I made the mistake of pressing the curve button. I thought that everybody's grade would